السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ رسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة. أما بعد, جزاكم الله خير, my dear respect brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we're going to be continuing our series to talk about what are the rulings when it comes to Salah. What are the rulings when it's possible for an individual, especially males, for them would make it okay for them to miss Salat al Jammaa. And we talked about so many times in the past is the importance of attending the Salat al Jammaa, its benefit, its reward, and it's extremely highly recommended for men to attend Salat al Jammaa and the masjid, and the reward that comes along with that. But in the same token, our deen is a deen of that covers everything, and it covers when someone is have some excuses that does not allow him to come to Salat al-Jama'ah. So let's talk about al-a'dhar. What are the excuses for someone that would give him an excuse for him not to attend Salat al-Jama'ah? So there are what we call am wa khas. There are rulings, there are excuses that are general, like meaning that applies to everyone, and there are special ones, meaning that applies to only the individual of that matter. Okay, so let's talk about the general excuses that maybe it could maybe be allowed for a group of people for them not to attend Salat al-Jama'ah. Okay, so the very first excuse is that when there are some weather changes. Here we're talking about extreme weather changes that happen in the city, happen in the state, where you have heavy rain or heavy snow. That it makes it a barrier for an individual, or possibly make it dangerous for the individual for them to attend the masjid. Now, what are the cutoff? Like for instance, and does everything every time the weather would change and you'll see a little bit of sprinkles of rain, khalas, then pray at the home? No. The scholars, like for instance, Sheikh bin Uthaymeen, he said that the cutoff point is that when someone goes out, and the rain is so much that it covers you, like it make you wet, make you wet. So at that point, that considered to be too much rain for someone to walk, too much rain for someone to drive. You see, and at that point, it make it better for individuals to pray at home rather than for them to pray at the masjid. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did such. Yes, he did. And for instance, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was known, and it was narrated, كان يأمر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم مؤذن إذا كانت ليلة ذا برد ومطر يقول صلوا في رحالكم. The Prophet used to order the mu'adhin that if there is a time when the weather there was an extreme weather where it was raining too much or it was cold too much, that he would tell the mu'adhin, that he would call and say, صلوا في رحالكم, pray at your place. And that was part of the adhan. The adhan will be the same thing, and then until the end, صلوا في رحالكم, صلي في رحالكم, الله أكبر, الله أكبر, لا إله إلا الله. So that's the way the adhan would end. Okay. And Prophet Muhammad also in another hadith says, فليصلي من شاء منكم في رحلي. That whoever, let each one of you who cannot come to the masjid, for him that should pray at his home. Okay. So it's allowed. And this is something that unfortunately people sometimes abuse and sometimes people neglect. How people abuse it? As soon as there is a swift of wind, خلاص pray at home. No, that's not the reason. There is a real barrier where it's heavy snow. Like for instance, the roads are slippery. It makes it dangerous. If someone breaks, the car would slide. There is heavy rain in which that it prevents you from seeing in front of you, that sort of thing. But if there is, for instance, a little bit of sprinkles and there is, for instance, a little bit flakes of snow, that does not make it better for you. And also if there is extreme weather, for instance, here we're talking about like extreme cold. Sometimes it happened, like for instance, when if the weather, close to zero, and makes it very cold for some individual to go out, and makes it harmful for someone. If he goes out, he might get sick. uh, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not going to bear you more than you can. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, uh, um, uh, um, ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة. Don't throw yourself in a place, in a matter that makes it difficult for you, or makes you in difficult situations. So with that, when these situations come, it's allowed for you to come and pray at your home. Now, some people, like I said, abuse it. But some people neglect it. Like, no, no matter what happened, you pray at the masjid. Oh, that's also wrong. Subhanallah. What about if someone, for instance, you said you must pray at the masjid, and there was an elderly guy who barely could walk, and he slips, he slips because of you, and he would fall and break a bone and break a back, or break a neck because of how your extreme fatwa. You see, someone have been harmed because of your suggestion, because of your recommendation. Are you able to hold that in your neck in the hereafter? So brothers and sisters, unless you take, this is a permission within our deen that we could take advantage of when it's there. Again, I understand that some people neglect it totally, and I understand that some people abuse it. But here is to use it when it's available. So that's the very first thing. When there is a lot of rain, also when we said there is a lot of, when there is extreme weather in which that it makes it very cold uh, for individual um, uh, for them to be makes them sick if they live. Also, some situation, if there is like extreme darkness, like let's say for instance, that there is a weather situation where, or like maybe there is no electricity outside, and you can't even see what's in front of you. That's another situation. Or for instance, sometime when you're living in certain countries, if you have like a dust storm where you can't even see what's in front of you, that makes it also an excuse for you to pray at home. Okay. So the point here is that, when there is extreme weather situations, that it's better for you to pray at home. Islam would allow that such thing. Okay. So this is al-a'dhar al-'amma. This is a general excuses for anyone to take advantage of. Okay. Now, is there a special situation for a specific individual that maybe applies to you, but that would not apply to others? Yes. They call it al-a'dhar al-khassa. When there is a special excuses for individual, for them, that allows them not to pray Salat al Jammaa. The very first one is when someone is sick. you know so for instance, if someone is sick, and again, unfortunately, brothers, again, people tend to neglect that, and sometimes people tend to abuse that. So for instance, when someone say, I'm going to pray, come to the masjid regardless if I'm sick or not. Ya akhi, if you are sneezing, and coughing, somebody else might become sick because of you. And plus, there is an excuse for you to stay at home. you know so that's the situation. Like, if you are coughing and then sneezing, and you're making everybody sick around you, that's, stay at home better than for you. But in the same token, not every cough and every, as soon as you get the sniffles, خلاص, I'm gonna stay at home. No. Again, it's important for someone to be real with themselves, to be honest with themselves, that it's time for me to stay at home. So the very first excuse is what? When someone is sick. Okay. So, and this is permissible for him to stay. Also, if someone, for instance, have a disability, like for instance, let's say someone is blind, or somebody is have a limp, or somebody, he have some sort of disability that enables him to for them to go to the masjid. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he have given permission for people with disabilities, if, like for instance, if they have no guidance, if no one can guide them to the masjid, then for this, better for them to stay at home. Okay. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam have done so, especially for a blind individual. Okay. So that's a second reason that someone allows someone for him to pray at home rather than the masjid. A third one, okay, is when someone in situation that when there is real fear that he might be harmed if he left the home. Like for instance, if someone is waiting for him or somebody, if he felt threatened, or there is a robbery, or there is some sort of real fear, or there's an enemy, real fear that prevents him, a real fear that prevents him from coming into the masjid. At that time, it's better for him to stay at home. What kind of fear is the real fear? Yeah, let's say, for instance, let's say you are in an occupied land, or there is people who are robbers outside, or there is, for instance, an unjust ruler who might punish you for one reason or another. So there are, if there is a real fear that someone can foresee, that enables him to that does not enable him to go to the masjid, then it's better for him to stay at home. Okay. Another common excuse that might be applied to the individual would not apply to others. And again, people tend to neglect this excuse, is when, let's say, when food is present, when food is present. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is known within Islamic Sharia, uh, that it's an excuse for them not to go to the masjid. Like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إذا وضع العشاء عشاء أحدكم وأقيمت الصلاة فأبدأوا بالعشاء ولا يعجل حتى يفرغ منه. You know, that if there is let's say if there is food have been present, like for instance the dinner have been present, and the adhan have been called, yeah, eat. And if you're able to catch the jama'ah, then catch it afterward. But the priority here is eat. Why? Yani the wisdom behind this. The wisdom behind this is that yani, for instance, if you end up going, you're going to be thinking about the food. Is the food taste good, or or did they finish it, or they did not finish it? Is it cold? Is it hot? That sort of thing. So you're not going to have even concentration with your prayer. But rather, خلاص, if your wife, if your sister, if your daughter have put the food, and eat the food, and then after that, if you're able to catch the jama'ah afterward, then catch it. Yeah. But the point here is that يعني إذا جاء العشاء والعشاء فضلنا العشاء والعشاء. That if the dinner came and Salat al-Isha have came together, then you pray, then you eat, then after that you would eat. Okay. Unless unless there is one situation, unless that if you if you knew if you knew that you might end up missing prayer, like for instance, and this would apply in what situation, I would say very commonly in Salat al-Maghrib, because yani, the window for Salat al-Maghrib, when you compare it to all the other prayers, is very narrow. Yeah, for instance, like let's talk about nowadays. Yeah, for instance, someone pray Dhuhr now. Yeah, you have one from 1:30 all the way to 5:30. So you have almost four hours. Yeah, from Fajr to Dhuhr, you almost have almost seven hours. From Asr to Maghrib, almost we have from 5 to 9, you have 4 hours. But when you're talking about from Maghrib to Isha, you only have like also what? Almost 1 hour, hour and a half. That's it. So for someone to say, Wallahi, I'm going to delay the Salah until I finish with food, then you're gonna miss the Salah, you see. So in that situation, you figure out something, but the Salah comes in priority. Okay. So this is, I hope that I made this clear within Allah Ta'ala. Now, another specific reason for someone to miss Salat al Jama'ah, and this applies to everyone, male or female, is مدافعة الأخبثين. What is that? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in authentic hadith, he said, لا صلاة بحضرة طعام ولا هو يدافع الأخبثان. He said there is no salah when food is present. We talked about this. And there is no salah when someone is close or pushing himself not to go to the bathroom. Like for instance, if somebody wanted to, like for instance, use the bathroom, whether he wanted to urinate or etc. He would not he cannot concentrate in prayer if you wanted to go to the bathroom. So go to the bathroom, relieve yourself, and then after that pray. Okay. So again, the whole point here, the wisdom here is what is that while if even if he end up praying, what's he's going to be thinking about? He's thinking about that when he's going to pray quickly, or so he could go back, and if so he could go back to the bathroom and rush to the bathroom afterwards. But so the point here is that Salah is a time of tranquility, a time of concentration. Know what you are saying, not to just rush it and get rid of, and then after that do whatever you want to do afterward. Okay, so this is important that for someone to realize these things, يعني from day to day بإذن الله تعالى. Okay. Also, another excuse for them to miss Salat al Jammaa, okay, is أكل البصل والثوم والكرات. But when someone eats onions or garlic, uh, because these vegetables, you know, makes a very strong smell of the mouth uh, if someone attended the salah. And it's very, I mean, we have experienced this, like for instance, so many times. And when you are on the salah, and maybe and you would smell the guy beside you, possibly he have a smell of an onion or smell of garlic, because why? Because the malaika, brothers and sisters, uh, they are harmed from the same things that human beings get harmed from. Like for instance, the malaika would run away from the smell of these vegetables. So it's important, brothers and sisters, that you would, that if someone have ate these things, that he would not come to the masjid. Prophet ﷺ said, "Man akala هذه البقلة الثوم." Let him not come to the masjid. Another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, "Man akala البصل والثوم والقرات فلا يقربن مسجدنا." Like, look at how strong that is. However, if someone ate onion or garlic, not let him not come to the masjid. Subhanallah. فإن الملائكة تتأذى مما يتأذى منه بني آدم. That he said that the angels are harmed from the same thing that human beings are harmed from. So that means what? That means that we shouldn't. Here we're talking about brothers and sisters. It's important for us to realize here that here we're talking about fresh fruits, like for instance, fresh eating fresh garlic, fresh onions. Because when someone eats these things, and there is obviously smell is gonna come with them. But if someone, let's say, ate cooked garlic or cooked onions, obviously there is no smell that goes along them when they are being cooked. But these things would come when someone has ate them as fresh, you know, and that's very it's very clear that we know this, brothers and sisters. So, and again, that does not apply to to the garlic and onion. The point here is that if someone comes to the masjid with a very bad smell, the same thing would apply. It's not restricted to the garlic and the onions. It applies to anything that is makes it harmful for the individual. And it would make him smell bad to the point that it would affect him and affect his surrounding. Like for instance, if someone works, I mean, I don't know, if someone could have jobs that in which that he's exposed to bad smells. Okay. So therefore, and every time he come to the masjid, he's harming harming himself, and harming the people around him. I think a common one, and I think the same thing would apply to it for people who are heavy smokers. Now imagine if someone smokes in the car, for instance, and because of the fume, it's going to go into within his clothes. So obviously, if someone be prayed beside you, he's going to smell that you are smoking. So it's going to be harmful. So brothers and sisters, and here I'm not going. I don't want you to guys to say, well, I then since I'm a smoker, then I shouldn't be coming to the masjid. It's important that be shy on yourself. Maybe there should be a reason. Not don't think of it as a reason not to come to the masjid, but a reason you should be quitting. And then here we're talking about eating onions and garlic are things that are halal, but when you smoke, you're doing something haram. This is the reason for you not to say I'm not then because I'm a smoker I don't want to come to the masjid. No, it should be a reason for you to stop smoking, because you are harming yourself and harming the people around you. Subhanallah. And a lot of people and a lot of brothers who are smoking, they don't realize this, that it's haram for them to smoke, and then and then when they come to the masjid, they're harming the people around them. And this is very, very important for them to realize that. Okay. Also, also, a common excuse for someone that makes him not come to the masjid. If, so, for instance, if he lives far away from the masjid, like for instance, he cannot hear the adhan. He cannot hear the adhan. And here we're talking about. So here we're talking about, like for instance, if someone, يعني, if someone live, people say, okay, I live far from the masjid, but I have a car. Okay, fine. But what about if you, there is, let's say they were, but nowadays they're able to call the masjid with speakers. So, whatever the car, the distance of the car, you'll be able to hear it with the speaker. So if you're able to hear it even with the speaker, then you should be able to come to the masjid. You should be able to come to the masjid. Okay. Also, another excuse is that if you notice that the imam is an imam that makes it difficult for the followers, for the people who attend the Jama'ah, for them to attend. Yeah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave an excuse for a man who prayed behind the Sahabi Mu'adh, and Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, he used to pray a very long prayer. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave this guy an excuse not to pray behind Mu'adh because Mu'adh was his prayer was a little bit lengthy, So again, I don't want you to use this. This is applies when someone is doing like lengthy prayer, and you cannot handle that. Then this would apply to you. Like for instance, and again, this is something could be relative. If someone like, oh, the imam, he prays one page in a rak'ah, or he has one page in one rak'ah. Yeah, I think that should be fine. But here we're talking about very, very long, very, very long, not much longer than that. Okay. Also, if someone have a close relative who's about to pass away, and he felt that if he went to the masjid, he might miss that moment of him, like for him to be with the last moments of his relative, then it's better for him to stay with him. الخوف من موت قريبه, and that's an excuse that the scholars have given. Like for instance, let's say you wanted to make talqeen, like you want him you want your relative to say the shahada before he passes away, then you stay with him, pray beside him, and always be close to him in that time. Okay. Also, like for instance, let's say someone is fearful that he might miss travel if he attended the masjid. Like for instance, someone might say, if I attended the salah, I might miss my plane or my group. So it's better for them to pray at home better. Because again, it goes back to the same reasoning that if someone prayed Jama'ah and he's thinking about his plane might leave, or the Jama'ah that he's traveling with might leave him, go travel and leave him behind him, then not to create that doubt inside of him, so he's rather would to pray at home better than praying with the Jama'ah. So with this, brothers and sisters, we talked about almost more than 10 reasons for someone allowed for him to leave Salat al Jammaa. I hope this makes clear for everyone. Is there any questions that people want to be answered within that? Any questions from our audience? Going once and going twice. خير إن شاء الله. So this is the last for the بإذن الله تعالى. جزاكم الله خير لحسن معكم. سبحانك وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.